welcome to video number 6 of 6, Daniel Longoria. I want to start with welcome you all back, and the format has changed. I was speaking at the Fresno Juvenile Detention Facility on the last 5 videos, and the DVD it was encrypted on, I guess it was corrupt or scratched, but I found myself having to change the format. Tried a few other ones, and I just decided, hey, I better get this content out there. And the big epiphany that happened, the big spiritual awakening, the wabi-sabi moment was when I was in Pelican Bay, and it occurred to me that I couldn't go into the DMV. I couldn't go into any store to purchase food, clothing, or even the Apple store and say, this is how much time I've done, this is how many people I've hurt, this is how many times I didn't tell, this is all the places I've been locked up in, these are all the people I know, these are all the drug overdoses and car wrecks I survived. These are all the times I got shot at with live M16 rounds when I was in Corcoran in the security housing unit and survived. Can I have a free iPhone? Can I have these groceries that are $150? Can I have this clothes? So it seems very simple, and it seems also to an extent like, Daniel, how could you not figure that out earlier or sooner? And I'd like to just first of all say that if it was something that I could have realized sooner and understood that I was in self-denial, and most of all that there was no return on the investment that I was making, because I was investing my entire life, my entire mind, my body, my existence into this lifestyle where substances and friends went together, and then from there we ended up in institutions, and then from there we found a way to continue to move forward. So I understand that it's very hard to think and realize how could you go that far and not realize what you were doing. So here are a few of the things that I came up with as far as trying to understand how this could have happened. And first of all, whenever I was incarcerated, there was consistent routine. I knew what time I was going to get up, what time I was going to eat, what time I was going to shower, what time I was going to bed. And this fixed routine helped, because every time I was out from the ages of 10 to 30, there was really no routine. My mother went to work in the morning. My parents had been divorced now for a couple of years when I was 10. She would go to work in the dark, come home in the dark. So it was about getting ourselves dressed, getting ourselves to school, and I didn't know what time we were getting up. I didn't know what time, how I was getting to school. The routine, there was no routine, no consistency. So without really knowing, I just knew that there was a routine in going to somebody's house and ditching school and using, and then eventually from there committing crimes to get more substances, ending up back in a consistent routine of an institution. So I really can't justify or explain it in a way that says good job Daniel or bad job Daniel. I can just give you the facts, and facts are stubborn things, as most of you well know. So the fact was that I needed consistency and I needed routine, and I couldn't find it at 10, 11, 12, 16, 18, all the way until I was in Pelican Bay the last time, and I came to that realization, like, I've invested all this time, and what am I getting in return? Because I can't go anywhere and take my resume of how much time I did, how many people I've heard, how many times I haven't told on people, and how many burpees I did or earned my brown eagle. I couldn't go into anywhere with that resume and get an iPhone or get clothing or get food or nothing really. I understand that it had its value inside and around certain circles of people, but I couldn't deny anymore that I wasn't happy. I wasn't meeting my potential. So I wanted something better for myself. And what I mean by better was, I used to say, why can't I be like I am in here when I'm out there? In here, I love to read. I love to help others. I help others write letters. I actively listen and give advice based on different books that I read. A lot of books, which today I understand that from the age of 12, when I was helping somebody write a letter to their grandma who was taking care of them and had said, "That's it, I'm tired of you. I'm not going to visit you. I'm going to let foster care take you," that I would sit and listen to this person when we were cellmates in juvenile hall, and I would take notes of what he was telling me about, and I'd ask him questions about what he missed about his grandparents who were his guardians, what he didn't like about him, what he wanted from education, what he wanted to do as a career one day, what he was afraid of, what he wasn't afraid of, what made him laugh, what inspired him. And so, unbeknownst to me, I was doing an assessment, and then I was also creating a treatment plan, right? Because I'd take all this information and I'd write a letter for him, and I'd say, "Here, put it in your own writing and send it to your grandparents." And then within a week or two after they got the letter, they'd come and visit him, and they'd be thankful. These people who were cellmates, people that were in institutions with me. So I found myself helping people always. And then I started understanding that I wanted to do more of that. So consistency. So when I got out, again, there were the inconsistencies. I knew I was wanting to change when I had 6 months to parole when I was 29 and a half from Pelican Bay, and looked like this dude. And I had a lot of lifers speak to me and explain to me that I had an out date and not to waste it, to do something with it. Because yes, they could see my value in there and what I could bring into the organizations and to the people there and helping the people there stay encouraged, but there were other people there that could do that too. And it was like, out there, Daniel, you have an out date. I wish I could get out, but I'm never going to get out. Get out there and just do what you can to help people understand what you've come to understand today, which is, it's better to be loved than it is to be feared. It's better to find similarities in people than to focus on the differences between you and other people. And so I did. And I was scared. I wasn't aware of all the things that I had to face when I got out. But when I got out, I had to move in with my mom, and I used substances for the first 6 months that I was out. I got out June 9th of 96, and I got clean and sober January 21st of 1997. My mother's birthday was January 19, so I got clean and sober 2 days after her birthday. So for 25 years, she passed away a couple of months back. But if she would have lived to January, she passed away in November. But if she would have lived to January, would have celebrated 25 years together, me being clean and sober, and her seeing me come into fruition, mature, develop, and become the person she always spoke into me that I could be, which was a steward, a servant, a helper, a cheerful giver, which is what I find myself being today. I don't want to discourage anybody from whatever they're doing with their life. If it works for you right now, then it works for you right now. Just know that you have to evolve, because if you don't evolve, you mutate. So if you're angry, you mutate into an angrier, uglier, more violent person. So you have to evolve. And like, I used to use anger as my default because I felt I could control it. Then from anger, I started understanding, okay, emotion over intellect isn't doing it, so it's intellect over emotion. Then I had to understand self-talk, and I had to understand that there has to be a space between stimuli and response, and that space is choice. And that's when you get to choose if you're going to do something or what you're going to say if you're going to say something. So choice was very important, to have a choice and to be able to develop that choice and create a bigger space between stimuli and response. Where at 8 years old with an 8-year-old coping mechanism, it was just stimuli response and there was no space. And I really didn't have a choice. I just had the fight, freeze, or flight, which is embedded in us from birth. And so I got out, moved in with my mom, owed $65,000 in child support arrears. Minimum wage was $4 an hour or so in '96. So after taxes, they take half of my disposable wages. And I stayed at my mother's home, had to wait 3 years to get my driver's license, go to classes to get my license. And all I really wanted, I swear to you, all I really wanted was just a driver's license and a job. And June is right around the corner, 2022. And I gotta tell you, everybody, that today I have more than a driver's license and a job. Today, I can tell you that I have consistency. I have a routine. And the consistency, the routine came when I got clean and sober. Because those 6 months, that discrepancy between when I got out in June and got clean in January of '96, that I got out and got clean in '97, there was still inconsistencies. I was using heroin and I really didn't know what I was really doing, except giving most of my money to the connection again. And I just kind of felt like, what's the use? What's the use? I'll never pay off this child support. I'll always work construction. I will always live at my mom's. I'm a 30-year-old bum who has a good resume if you look at it, like street-wise, you know, outlaw-wise, but as a person with integrity, with self-respect and dignity, there was really a zero balance in my part. And so I learned to work 3 jobs and I developed a good work ethic, but I still didn't understand how I ended up on substances. So I went to the PAR Center in Porterville and here in Tulare County, and I got clean and sober. And there was consistency and routine. There was a time we woke up, there was a time we went to bed, there was chores we all had to do, and we had to go to groups, and we had to do book studies. So I was able to have a combination of being out, not being incarcerated, but still, and living in a home with 12 other men. And it's funny because statistics will show you that if 12 people get clean and sober that have been using for more than 20 years of their life, like all of us that were at the PAR Center in the drug program, 5 of us are still clean and sober. 5 of us out of 12 are still clean and sober now. We've all celebrated over 25 years clean and sober, and I still stay in touch with those people. But that's where I found my balance. It was, I got clean and sober, and then it was magical almost. Daniel minus drugs and alcohol, substances, equals freedom. And then in that freedom, I had to understand that I needed routine, consistency. I needed get up time, bedtime, whatever I was going to do with my free time, my meal times, and what day was my laundry time. You know, you just have to have a schedule and a routine. I did, because of that's the world I lived in, where that was all done for me. Then when I'd get out and have to do it myself, I couldn't do it. So at 30 years old, when I got out, I struggled, but then I went to the PAR Center 6 months after I got out, got clean and sober, and then I was able to get both worlds. Being clean and sober, having a routine, and still being around camaraderie. And that's very important for me, and I believe for a lot of people, is camaraderie. But instead of camaraderie to come up, to chase drugs, to get high, to stay high, to get women, because it's the same. It doesn't matter if we're talking about how much time you've done. Can you really walk into an Apple store and say, I'm a player and I've had sex with this many people, and they give you an iPhone? Wow. Or, I know this is sounding kind of simple now, but really think about it. Can you say, I'm a fighter, I don't back down from anyone. I've gotten in 15 fights and I got the best out of those fights. I was the winner. Can I have this clothes at a clothing store? I'm a good liar. I've lied myself out of my own lies. So I've lied, gotten caught, then came up with better lies and lied myself out of them this many times. Can I get a driver's license? So you see, when you start seeing what it is that you're good at, if it's antisocial, and I don't mean that literally, I'm just using a term. If it's antisocial, it's self-defeating, and it's dysregulated, you really don't get anything for that behavior. But if you are regulating yourself, and it is intellect over emotion, and it's purposeful, and you're helping others, and you're giving, and you have a good work ethic, then you can get yourself through school, a trade school, a job, a career, and then from there you can learn to purchase things and develop your credit and all the things that I have been able to do in 26 years. June 2022 will be 26 years that I've been home. And I wish you the best, and just couldn't ask for a better opportunity than the world I live in today, with all the digital devices where we can just give these messages out like this for free. So I appreciate your time, and I wish you the best, and I thank you.